We are beginning this transfer special today with some devastating news. Our club, which just a season or two ago had moved up to professional status, we are now relinquishing that professional status and we are going back to being a semi professional club because apparently we are just hemorrhaging money. We can't afford to be a professional team anymore and we're back to being a semi-pro team. I've taken a closer look at our finances since this inbox message and going back to semi-pro, and I really didn't realize how dire of a position we were in financially. As you guys can see at the top here, where financial status is insecure. At the beginning of last season, our overall balance was in the positive. We are now negative 397K. And from my understanding, this is just going to continue to get worse. We lost 700,000 pounds last season. That is a lot to be losing. It's money that we really can't make up. We have no way of making it up. I'll explain that in a little bit. But I didn't think we were losing this much money. Just whenever I've played Football Manager in the past, as long as I was under the payroll budget, we would be fine financially. But we don't really have good methods for being able to make money. So I guess we're just losing a lot of money. If we look at the expenditure here, I think most of this is blocked by my face, but I'll tell it to you guys. Most of our expenditure is in player salaries. We have about 600K annually in player salaries. We're going to need to drop that significantly for our upcoming season. We've also got about 150K in bonuses. Staff salaries is about 140K. So that's where we're losing most of our money, and scouting costs is 115K. So what normally would be important for a good club and being able to improve our salaries, being able to improve our staff, and being able to scout well, we are going to have to cut down very significantly on those to at least retain the financial status of our club and eventually try and work our way back up to professional status, because right now we're only a semi-pro side. This is really tough news because this means that our entire training is going to change once, it looks like here we're going to go back to our semi-pro training. This is really going to limit our ability to develop our players. It means we're going to need to go back maybe to signing proven players like we did in the past that just improved the squad. We aren't going to be able to develop anyone. And really, the big problem is that we just don't have a lot of ways to make money. I mean, we're losing 700K per year. We can't just sell a player. Like normally, if you were playing in the EPL or something, you could just sell a player for 20 mil and be fine. We don't have any, but we'd have to sell our whole squad. We're nowhere near any of our players being worth it. Our best player is Frederick Bayon. He's the player who has 230K potentially transfer value, and he's on loan to us. He's leaving in 10 days. So we just don't have options that we can sell. There's just not a whole lot of value in our squad. The other way to make a lot of money, of course, is by scheduling friendlies against bigger clubs. But as you can see here, there's no income. There's no income from any of our friendlies. If we go to large teams foreign, Bali United, I mean, the fee is bigger than our income. This is for home matches. And if we do an away match, the fee is bigger than our income. The board isn't going to sanction the travel. And the thing that's annoying, which is really bugging me, is that I did a sim forward because I thought there was something wrong. But arranged teams, so as part of the Celso Jung deal, we should have played this team here from Brazil, but they must accept this proposal due to a clause in a previous transfer. We'd at least get an additional 8K, which would be like selling a player. But the game just never happens for some reason. I've tried this a couple times. I think it's just a glitch in the game. I don't know what the code is with this, but they should be coming to play the friendly. For some reason, maybe since it's too far, I can't play it. So we're also just missing out on a free 8K because of this weird glitch in the game. And at this point, we just don't have a whole lot of ways that we can make income. We only made 420K in income last year, most of it coming from winning the PFL and from decent performance in the Asian Champions League. But if we go back to previous seasons, because we could get further in the Confederation Cup, we actually made more money comparatively. But otherwise, we don't get a whole lot of gate receipts. We only get about 72K in gate receipts for the whole season. We're not getting a whole lot of TV revenue at this point, and we don't have a lot in selling players. Like, we have a club that just doesn't bring in a lot of money. We don't bring in gate receipts. We don't bring in revenue from selling players. Like, all of our money comes from prize money. We just don't have enough money that we can win at this point in time to be able to save our financial future. The big thing at this point is that we need to ensure that our training facilities are as best as they can be, and we need to keep hold of our coaching staff and playing staff as much as we can. So I had gone in, we've decreased the training facilities, we've decreased our networking. So our youth facilities are not going to be in a good spot. Our junior coaching's not in a good spot, and our youth recruitment's not in a good spot. But we're not bringing people up through the youth setup anyways. So at this point, we might as well ignore that. And again, the goal here is to get back to a professional status. To have enough money, we need to get £1 million in the bank. I don't know how we're going to do that, but at some point, we need to find our way back to professional status. But in the meantime, we are a semi-pro club. I'll talk about the transfers a little bit as well. This is going to be the transfer special. I'm going to go forward to the first match of the season, but I've made some big errors because I've also I'll go back here. I've signed a lot of our players on new contracts again. So I've extended the contracts of a number of players. A number of our players are going to be leaving here, which I'll talk about at the end. But I've signed a number of new players to contracts, and that is a mistake. Like, players like Yusan here, we've already offered him a contract. I'm not going to withdraw the contract at this point, but he'll still be on full-time deals. So, I mean, as you can see here, a bunch of new wages here. So I don't know how this is really going to affect us. Hopefully it will keep the players at the club for longer. I don't know if being on a part-time contract is going to affect whether or not they want to stay at the club. But I've signed a number of our new players on contracts. I'm going to be honest, we're going to be selling a lot of players this transfer window because we're going to need to lower the salary costs and we need to raise some money. That being said, I did sign a number of players prior to us moving to semi-professional status towards the end of last season. So I'm going to show you guys some of these players now because they're actually players who are really exciting and going to be really good. The big one here, Luis Miguel Pradas, is probably the best player we've ever had in this save. He's currently 4.5 stars. Potential ability is 5 stars. He's absolutely insane. We signed him on a free transfer. He used to play for Valencianas, but he was a free agent from Spain. We seem to just get a lot of Spanish players, but he's absolutely amazing. I'm retraining him so that he can play as that advanced playmaker here. But, I mean, he's nuts. He's the best player we have by far. Like, if we compare him to Gorotsetegi here, I would say, is currently our best player. But I think Luis Miguel Pradas is head and shoulders above Gorotsetegi. He's better athletically, better mentally, and I think better technically as well. He's a phenomenal player. He's going to be an absolutely mainstay in our team. After that, we signed left back Leonardo. I think to be honest, he's only 18 and he has an ambitious personality, so I think there's a bit more potential here. But I think he's a good left back who he'll probably back up Martin. Another player, again, we signed him on a free, so I'm assuming later on down the line I'm going to end up selling for money. But decent physicals, good stamina, good acceleration as well. Good tackling at 15. His positioning is going to get better. Good work rate. He's a solid player. He'll get game time. I had signed him thinking that we were a professional team and that I would be able to improve him. I don't know if we're going to be able to do that anymore, but we'll see what we can do. After that, I am getting rid of Ray Joyel, so I wanted a new goalkeeper. Jan Reyes is someone that we've had on our Filipino radar. I think he's a very well-rounded and good technical goalkeeper. He's going to be a young backup. Another player that I thought, hey, we can develop him because he has good personality. Resolute personality is good. But overall, he's very well-rounded, good aerial reach, like he's solid things here, good aerial reach, command of area for this level, decent communication, good reflexes, good handling, good positioning as well. I actually think he's a pretty good player. I hope he can develop a little bit. He may end up being someone in the next couple of years who we send out on loan for development. But some of our players were getting unhappy and wanted a new goalkeeper, so we brought in David Seed, who I think is a better goalkeeper than Schwarzer. He's going to be our new starting goalkeeper in the PFL. Schwarzer will play in cup competitions, but I mean, I think he speaks for himself here if we just compare him with Julian Schwarzer, who was our starting goalkeeper last season. He's significantly better. He's a huge upgrade. Another Spaniard coming to Mendiola. Better reflexes, better command of his area, better shot stopper, better everything. He's a good goalkeeper, and I think he'll improve our squad a lot. After that, we are losing Frederick Bayon, so I wanted a new striker, and that striker, who is Filipino, is Joseph Talarok. A very good player. He's got good jumping reach and good finishing. I mean, he's not great, but he's a player who, again, we've seen. I've given him 5 caps, albeit he hasn't scored. But again, we're just looking at a player here who we just need another Filipino player. Gives us an option up top. He's got good physicals. I think he's someone we'll probably look to bring on off the bench. And I mean, we got him on a free, so hopefully no harm, no foul. Albeit we are paying him a pretty big £650 per week salary. And last but not least, Lloyd Fagerly. Shout out to someone, I think Agent G11, if you still watch these videos. This was a long time ago, like in maybe the first season when Mendiola were still like really bad. I think you commented and mentioned Lloyd Fagerly here as a player that we could potentially sign, but at the time we just weren't good enough to be able to sign him. We finally signed him. The reason for this is because Kainoa Bailey's getting old, and he might be a player. He might be one on the chopping block now that we've moved to semi-pro status. But I think he is a good player to replace him. He can play all across the front line. He's got good dribbling, good first touch, decent pace. So I think he was in Norway. We have unfortunately signed him for a fee. But he only wants to be emergency backup. He's going to come in. He can come in for the Champions League. So he's a good player that fits some positions we need. And I think he has a good perfectionist personality. So that is where we're at the moment. We are, of course, on the season takeover date. So I'm going to go forward. We're going to play friendlies. I'm going to go through preseason. If we look at the schedule here, our first game is August 5th. So I guess I'll come back on August 5th at the end of the preseason. And welcome back. We are now at the end of the preseason. We are the day of the United City match, which we will play in the next episode. But big things happened here. We've had a great preseason. It's probably the best preseason we've ever had. However, unfortunately, the financial status of the club just keeps getting worse. I can't spend the payroll because we're just hemorrhaging money at a huge rate. We are almost £500,000 in debt. Yeah, we need to get some money. It's been an interesting transfer window. So to conclude our transfers in, I've been very irresponsible. Yeah, I've done something I really shouldn't have, and I'm going to show you guys that in a little bit here. But I've made 3 more transfers. I regret no. Actually, I don't regret any of them. I do not regret any of these transfers, but financially, I could regret it in the future. First up, actually someone who I'm really excited about, Vicente Alonso here. He is a player that I have brought in to be an advanced forward. He has a good, lighthearted personality. This is one that I like. Genuinely, he's a very good player, and I'm really hoping that this value goes up later on, because he is very good. Pace, 14, acceleration, agility here. Good holy trinity, dribbling, finishing, first touch, and finishing 14, composure 12, off the ball 13. This is a really good player. He's on almost no salary, £120 per week in a part-time deal. I think this is a really good player. Historically, 12 goals in Spain. He has 3 friendly appearances and 2 goals. I think this is a really good player. I'm hoping that he'll increase in value later on, but I'm really excited about Vicente Alonso. I think he's going to be a fantastic striker to partner Jesus Mendoza up top. Otherwise, we've also signed Yannick David, again, on a really low contract, 180 per week. I think this value should go up. We got him on a free, again, from Spain, albeit he's French. We're just getting all these Spanish players. But I've signed him. Again, he has a professional personality, so I really like him. I think he'll be good in the locker room. He has good mentals. not great technicals and okay physicals, but he's a player that I think will actually be pretty good. For whatever reason, my scouts seem to rate him pretty highly, and my coaches seem to rate him pretty highly. So I'm hoping that, again, we've signed him on a free. If we can sell him, maybe get a sell on clause, then he'll be good. But the big one, the player that I potentially, yeah. So he's on 1.5K per week. I've also given him a match highest earner clause and a sell on fee percentage. But you are looking at a genuine Filipino wonder kid, Alvin Santos, who at 18 years old, we've already given him 8 caps for. He was released by Kassel in Germany. He was playing, where is Kassel? They're a semi pro club in the lower divisions of Germany. I think Alvin Santos is legit, though. Like, he is such a good player. He's got a good personality, excellent mental attributes. He has everything we want in a right back, good marking, tackling. Heading's all right, but he's got good physicals. I think he's like one of the best players. Genuinely, he's one of the best players on the Philippines national team at this point. Um, I think I think he's going to be worth it in the long run. Eventually, he might be a player that hopefully we sell for big money, but like he's just got everything we want. It's just the contract is a lot. And I'm worried that I've overspent here on the contract in a period where the club is not in a good financial state. But we signed him on a free. The hope is maybe in 2 seasons we sell him for like 50K. We get a sell on percentage, and maybe down the line he gets sold for £1 million. But this is a genuinely good player. I think he will eventually go back to Europe, but for now we need to take advantage of him while we've got him. But with those signings coming in, again, we've spent a little bit of money, but not a whole lot, maybe 4K total. We've sold a number of players who is actually really excited about. The big one here is we've sold Alberto to JDT in Malaysia, I believe. We have sold him for 24.5K. We also have a little sell on clause there. So hopefully we'll be able to make money from a future sell on. Again, we sold him for, what did we sell him for? 24.5K. He's now worth over 150K. So hopefully we can get a little sell on clause on him because I'm hoping he'll go eventually back to Europe now that he's at another league in Asia. But beyond that, afterwards, we're selling so many young players. We immediately afterwards sold Piero Honorio as well. We sold him for, I think, 14K it was, looking at that, 13K. But he's back in Brazil. He's now worth about 40K. I don't remember if we had a sell-on clause there. We also sold Josue. Josue's actually worth a decent amount of money now, so hopefully we'll get a little sell-on with him. We sold him for 13K. We sold Valber Ferroso as well. So some of our Brazilian wonder kids have now been sold back to Brazil. We had signed them for free, so I mean we make a little bit of a profit, but we really, really needed the money. The other big one, and I'm disappointed we didn't sell him for more, is Ahmad Ayub. He was a player who I really liked. He had really good physical attributes, but I believe he's back in Lebanon. We sold him. He was the one who I really wanted to sell for like 30K. We only got about 10K for him, so that was really disappointing. But some other players, we've let go of Kevin Kempter, a player who I really liked. We got 4K for him. At least we got something for him. Kainoa Bailey, another player who I really liked, but he's back in Indonesia. We sold him for 1.6K. I had to get rid of him. He was 32 years old in the last year of his contract. So as much as I like Kainoa Bailey and he's done so much for the club, we just had to cash in while we could. And otherwise, we've released some players. Andrew Reyes was released. He's gone to Global. Gian Magno, a player who we really liked a long time ago. We released him. He was at the end of his contract. Yusefi, we've released. Marco Casambre released. And our youngster, Joshua Nawson, he is on loan. It's a good loan because they're pretty much taking care of his contract. And finally, Carlos Carrion, another player who we've sent out on loan, and they're taking care of his contract as well as a little bit of a monthly fee. So we'll make, a K or so there. So that ends our pretty much our transfer business for this window. Again, we've sold 7 players, but we've only brought in 80K and we're still losing a lot of money. So we're in we're in a bit of a weird position right now. We're bringing in a lot of good players, which is crazy. Like, you've seen the players we brought in. I'm really excited. Vicente Alonso, Luis Miguel Pradas. Like, there's a lot of players here I'm really excited about. The last player I'm really excited about is 17-year-old Emmanuel. He is another Spanish player, 17 years old, who I think is better than Gorozategi. And I think them, like Emmanuel on the left, Gorozategi on the right, Alonso and Mendoza up top is going to be absolutely insane. Look at how good this guy is as a winger. At this level, he's very physically adept. 12 pace, 13 stamina, good acceleration and balance, but dribbling 15, flair 16, good technique, decent crossing, and good first touch. He is a phenomenal player at 17 years old. And if we compare him here to Gorozategi, he has better dribbling and crossing as a winger, again, which we need. He has better passing and technique as a winger, and he's a little bit better with pace and a little bit better in the acceleration, agility, balance category. So I actually think he's a better player than Gorozategi. The only thing is with Emmanuel, since he's only 17, he can't join the club until he turns 18. So he's going to come to the club in December. We currently have him on trial, but he will be at the club in a few months. But otherwise, that concludes this season's transfer window. I am trying to sell more players. The problem is, as I had mentioned earlier, I signed a lot of them to new contracts. Next transfer window is going to be interesting because we will be selling a lot of players. I actually tried to sell Tony as well. You can see here, I tried to get rid of him for 30K, but he was unhappy because I forgot that he just signed a contract recently. So that is going to be interesting. I'll probably try to sell him next summer as well. But I also was thinking about selling players like Lawali, like Yuslan, and maybe some other players as well. But then I remembered, oh, I had also just signed them to new contracts. But next season, we're probably going to look to sell Tony. I'm probably going to look to sell Daniel McFall. Yuslan and Lawali will probably both go as well. As much as I like these players, we just have to sell players because of the financial state we're in. And there are probably some other players here who, in the long run, Yannick David, Vicente Alonso, like these are Martin, these are Leonardo, these are players we're eventually going to look to sell. The ones I really want to keep in the long run, Jesus Mendoza, Alvin Santos, and Luis Miguel Pradas. I would love to keep those three players, but Santos and Pradas I could see probably leaving in the future. But otherwise, this is the end of the transfer window. This is everything I've got. So we are going into this season in the Asian Champions League. Hopefully, we are going to do well in the Philippines Football League. But the big news, of course, is that we are back to semi-professional status. And this is what we are working with going into the new season. So it should still be an exciting season. It should still be something that we can look forward to, but it's going to be a little bit harder to develop players now that we're apparently hemorrhaging money and we are semi-pro. With that being said, that's everything I've got for this episode. I will see you all for the first match of the season against United City, but I hope you all are doing well. I hope you all are taking care of yourselves, and I will see you all next time. Bye!